Yeah, you don't deserve to be. Listen, if you are, you are seeking to be a resident of the United States, even if you are undocumented, and you commit and are proven to have committed a violent crime, you don't deserve to be here or to seek any kind of residency in the United States. Yeah.
That's Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday responding to questions if he's going to cooperate with federal immigration officials to go after violent, non-citizen, illegal aliens in the country. It's Illinois in Focus Daily, and Pritzker holding his first news conference since the week before Thanksgiving. He has another news conference today, all of these on issues specific, like yesterday he signed an executive order focusing more on affordable housing, so we'll see how that plays out with the new General Assembly coming up, and especially with a budget that is estimated to have a $3 billion deficit. Are they going to put tax dollars towards tax credits for affordable housing? But during the news conference, of course, it's time for Q&A. And Q&A ranged on a whole host of things, including reaction to Donald Trump's incoming border czar, Tom Homan, visiting Chicago earlier this week, where we touched on this earlier this week as well, that he visited some political groups and talked about how if elected officials in Illinois don't get out of the way, then they could face prosecution, hinting that the Trump administration is going to come to Chicago first. Well, Governor Pritzker was asked about Homan's threats there, especially of the prosecution element. And here's what Governor Pritzker had to say in response.
If he wants to reach out and would like to meet, at some point he's going to become a part of the Trump administration. And so, I'm open to a dialogue with him. I will say that he does not have the authority to do the things that he's talked about. Being a border czar is not an official position in the government, and will be up to the President of the United States and up to the leaders of the Customs and Border Patrol to make decisions about how we'll manage the border. I will say, though, that making a political speech at a political township organization and attacking the people that you're going to serve shortly. And he should be serving Democrats and Republicans if he's going to go into the administration. I would expect that anybody that's taking a position, even if I disagree with the positions that the Trump administration is taking, but if you take a position in the executive branch, you serve all of the people of the United States. I do so as governor of the state of Illinois. I'm a Democrat, but when you take on the office of governor, you serve all the people while you're serving in this position, and I would expect that he would do the same in his position.
So the governor taking more questions yesterday, but questions kept coming up about the immigration issue and Trump's efforts when he takes office January 20th to do what some have characterized as mass deportations. The question asked of the governor was, Colorado's governors and others have indicated they're going to stand in the way, and they're willing to be arrested. Is Governor Pritzker willing to be arrested?
Well, let me start with the, what are we doing? Let focus on the idea that that we have really three groups of immigrants who are in the state of Illinois today, right? We've got documented immigrants, people who are here legally, and they have documents that allow them to work or allow them to be here. They've been put in a position of fear by what the Trump administration has threatened. They have relatives who are undocumented, and these are often, the documented folks are often hardworking people following the law. In fact, almost all. And so I'm going to protect them. We have migrants who've come to the state since August of 2022, sent here, as you know, by the governor of Texas. Those folks are also legal to be in the United States. They are awaiting asylum hearings. And it's my obligation to protect them as well. Anybody that's here in this country, that's here and has documentation, is here legally, of course I'm obligated to protect them just as I would anybody else, any citizen of the United States. Law enforcement, the government, etc. The third group are people who are undocumented. And let me be clear up front. Violent criminals who are undocumented and convicted of violent crime should be deported. I do not want them in my state. I do not think they should be in the United States. But there are an awful lot of people who have lived here, and I think we run into them every day, who have lived here for a decade or 2 decades or more, who are undocumented still, for a variety of reasons, by the way. Often they've tried very hard to become documented, to use the levers that are available to them. But they're here and they're holding down jobs, and they're paying taxes that they don't get any benefit from. And I believe it's my obligation to protect them too. Those are residents of the state of Illinois. Now, I know that you want to, ask the question about, the clash that might exist. But to be clear, we have laws on the books in the state of Illinois. I'm proud of those laws that protect people who are undocumented here. That, by the way, protect those who are migrants and those who are documented immigrants too. But we have laws that protect undocumented immigrants, and I'm going to make sure to follow the law. I'm concerned that the Trump administration and his lackeys aren't going to follow the law. But I will.
Pritzker again, laying out the different categories he sees of people who are here as asylum seekers who have yet to be adjudicated all the way, but while they wait for their court case, they're still seeking asylum, and here, as Pritzker characterized it, as legally. Did they come through the ports of entry legally, or did they cross a border illegally and then get kept up, and then they claimed asylum and then they went through the process there? That's obviously case by case determination, but you also have other categories of individuals who are here undocumented, and those who are here undocumented, they have a lot of access to things in Illinois, including the non-citizen health care subsidies. Also, as WTTW out of Chicago reports, more than 155,000 standard IDs and driver's licenses were issued to non-citizens in the 5 months since the law went into effect. All right. So again, a lot of different things that undocumented non-citizens can get in the state of Illinois. And Pritzker saying that he's going to protect those, but again, reiterating that if you're a violent criminal non-citizen, you should be kicked out of the country. More on this idea, though, of will Pritzker be standing in the way?
Yeah, but again, let's get the rhetoric, and I know you mean to get it right. I just want to make sure everybody else understands. A convicted violent criminal should not be in the United States, if you ask me. A convicted immigrant, right, undocumented immigrant, let me be clear with the words, undocumented, should not be allowed to stay in the United States if they are a convicted violent criminal. Now, there's a lot of rhetoric around the idea that immigrants are violent criminals. This is, I think, the first thing that Donald Trump said when he announced that he was running for president of the United States in 2015. And that lie has been pervasive and, said over and over again. People start to believe that every immigrant is associated with or is themselves a criminal. Let's separate these things. We have an awful lot. In fact, the rate of violent crime or crime among immigrants is lower than the rate of violent crime or crime among citizens of the United States.
And you hear that line of discussion regularly with those who push for immigration reform. Pritzker didn't really touch on immigration reform as much as some of the national Democratic figures like Senator Dick Durbin have pushed for. At least he didn't push for it during the Q&A yesterday, off-topic Q&A. But he was hit with question after question. Governor Pritzker being asked, will he work with ICE to go after violent criminals?
Yeah, I just told you. I mean, listen, if we have a violent, and we do, there are convicted violent criminals in the United States who are immigrants and undocumented immigrants. They should not be in the United States. And I will work with, I'm law enforcement up and down, just as I do every day, federal, state, and local law enforcement on other matters.
But Illinois law prohibits local and state law enforcement from cooperating with immigration officials if the immigration official has only a detention order against somebody. Police, from my understanding, can't even ask somebody that they bring in to the county building to process after an arrest. They can't even ask about their migration status. So Illinois has the Trust Act in place, which makes it a sanctuary state, let alone a sanctuary city in Chicago. But you've also heard some conversation about the use of National Guard in the deportation efforts on the incoming Trump administration. Pritzker shot that idea down.
I do not believe that we should be pitting one state's National Guard against another state. I think that's un-American. I think calling out the National Guard in a state to send them into another state to be engaged in, this endeavor is something that should be Customs and Border Patrol if they want to be involved. That is there. It's a federal agency, but the civilian, the military, part-time military that are part of the Illinois National Guard didn't join so they could, essentially go to war in another state.
So Pritzker continued to discuss this with reporters, and somebody else later asked more specifically, what about those who committed a crime in another country and then came to the United States? Or is it just if they come to the United States and they commit a crime? Can we get some clarity there on your position here of what kind of violent people need to be booted out of the country?
Yeah, you don't deserve to be. Listen, if you are, you are seeking to be a resident of the United States, even if you are undocumented, and you commit and are proven to have committed a violent crime, you don't deserve to be here or to seek any kind of residency in the United States.
Again, Governor J.B. Pritzker there taking questions from reporters yesterday, off-topic questions that the governor took. He has another news conference today. What else is he going to be asked about? There were other things he was addressing in the off-topic as well that we'll unpack tomorrow as we delve more into Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, wake up with us each weekday morning, get the podcast where you get podcasts, and then get the newsletter at thecentersquare.com.